3 incidents involving raccoons with interactions with either domestic cats or with, unfortunately, a bite to a human. And myself, along with the chief of Belmar, Chief Heisman, we've been in communication back and forth the entire time. The Monmouth County SPCA has been contracted by the borough to handle your animal control. And I know there's concerns with the public in regards to these incidents that have come along, and of course there is a reason to be concerned. But there's not a major reason to be alarmed and to have a situation where we're concerned with every animal that we see, especially during the daylight, if it is a raccoon or a possum or any other type of wildlife that's indigenous to the area. Although raccoons are notoriously nocturnal, it is not uncommon for a raccoon, especially during this time of the year, to come out during the daytime, especially during breeding season. The breeding season for a raccoon is from January to June. It's a 65-day gestation period, and they're generally having young at this particular time. So a mother raccoon will become, to some degree, a little bit aggressive or hiss at people if they come by their nest or where they're protecting young or they're foraging for food. But it is not their intention. It's very, very odd for a raccoon to attack a human and a domestic animal. Now, we do know that the first attack where we did have a woman who was attacked here at Barrow, that raccoon was never captured, but we could assume that there was something seriously wrong there. The second attack, which involved a domesticated cat, where I believe it killed a cat, was captured by the Belmar Police and the Monmouth County SPCA Animal Control Team, and that animal did test positive for rabies. And what I understand, the third incident was people walking in a park. The raccoon came down, hissed at them, and then proceeded to go on its way, which really kind of maybe falls into the category of maybe protecting its young. So the point I'm trying to make, and I'm here to answer any questions from the public in regards to this. If at any time, the Belmar Police, Chief Heisman and his police officers and the Monmouth County SPCA Animal Control Team have been very vigilant in the area of Belmar. If the public sees any concern in regards to any animal, whether it's a raccoon, possum, or even domesticated animals that are acting odd or strange, please do not approach. Please call the police right away. We're fortunate enough to have a police department here that's on site and respond within minutes to any type of activity. And of course, our animal control people are always around the corner to be here immediately. And it's something to be vigilant about, but not overly concerned about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions from the council? Any council members have questions? Okay. Anybody from the public have a question for Mr. Citra?
Yes.
Yesterday in the news I saw New York had a bomb too. They capture them and cure them and put them back out in the wild. Is that what New Jersey does?
No. Once an animal, the rabies virus is a deadly virus. There is no cure for it. And that's why it's taken very seriously by town officials, health department, and the SPCA and everybody else involved. The virus is a virus that lives in the saliva. It can only be contracted either through a bite or a saliva contamination, either with an open wound or maybe in someone's eyes. So if an animal is captured and tested for rabies, the only way to be tested, it needs to be decapitated and sent out to the state laboratory to be tested. There is no cure, so it can never be rehabilitated and put out. So the moment we suspect that any animal may have been exposed to a bite wound or whatever, it's automatically euthanized and shipped off to the state to be tested.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I know you're going to get to another meeting.
I do.
So,
Board of Health meeting.
So, Mayor, I do want to thank Chief Citra for helping out. He's been unbelievable in support on this issue, and we've been communicating almost on a daily basis during this issue. And I want to thank him and his staff for his professionalism and assisting us.
yes, and thank you for coming down tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to youth government.
Okay. Next we have our youth government here tonight, and they're going to take over up here. So of Julia Nicolay, John Conley, Helen Greco, and John Wheeler.
Good job, sir.
All right, we're
really privileged to have here tonight 3 athletes who have really done a great job, outstanding. As a former wrestler myself, I recognize these students. I'd like to have them come up. I also want to say I've had the privilege of teaching 2 of them. I helped a little bit coaching 1 when she was really little, and I also have the privilege of meeting one of them for the first time tonight. So if we can have America and Bella and Lucas come on up here, please. All right, read the resolutions. Oh, thank you. All right, let's start with the girls first. Right. Whereas America Garay is a sophomore student at Manasquan High School and a former student at Belmar Elementary School, and whereas America is a first-time wrestler for the Manasquan High School wrestling team, just started wrestling this year. Whereas America was a Buck Classic champion and a South Region champion in the 136-pound weight class, and whereas America finished in 6th place in the state tournament in her first year of wrestling, really outstanding. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar proudly congratulate America, and may she continue her success in the many wrestling tournaments in her future, as well as her remaining high school years. All right, Belle, there you go. Whereas Bella Serrano is a senior student at Manasquan High School and a former student at Belmar Elementary School, and whereas Bella is a distinguished wrestler for the Manasquan High School wrestling team, having been a varsity starter since her freshman year, whereas Bella's successful wrestling career includes a record of 33-53, that's with boys, and 15-0 versus girls, whereas Bella was the 111-pound champion of the 2019 Buck Classic and the 2019 South Regional 111-pound champion, and whereas Bella was the first ever Manasquan High School girls wrestling champion, state champion, and the first state champion wrestler for Manasquan since 1980. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar proudly congratulate Bella, and may she continue her success in the many wrestling tournaments in her future, as well as her future college career. Congratulations.
My coaches, my family, and Belmar, of course. I have Belmar pride. I grew up here, so it's fun to represent everybody here. So thank you.
And last but not least, whereas Lucas Ravano is a senior student at Camden Catholic High School and a resident of Belmar, and whereas Lucas will be attending the University of Pennsylvania in the fall, where he will wrestle for the Quakers, and whereas Lucas has been the captain of the Fighting Irish wrestling team at Camden Catholic for the past 3 years, and whereas Lucas is a 4-time district champion, 4-time region champion, and 4-time state place winner, 6th in 2016, 5th in 2017, 1st in 2018, and again 1st state champion in 2019, and whereas Lucas is a freestyle national All-American, taking 4th place in 2018 and was named South Jersey Wrestler of the Year for 2019. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar proudly congratulate Lucas, and may he continue his success in the many wrestling tournaments in his future, and as well at the University of Pennsylvania. Now, a big hand for all the athletes.
Okay, if everyone would still like to stay for the entire meeting, or if anyone would like to leave now, we'll give them a few minutes. All right, and next on the workshop, we want to give the council a little bit of an update on what's going on, because it's been in the news about the closing of the L Street Beach and what's going on with K Street. We have our H2M consultant engineer here who's been handling it along with Mike Campbell and our business administrator Kirschenbaum. So I guess, Al, if you can just give us an overview of what's been going on down there and how we are progressively going after this problem so we get that beach open.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Al Manilla. I'm the office director of our law office at H2M Associates in Wool Township. And we have been assisting the municipal engineer in addressing...
Can you just pull that mic up a little bit so everybody can hear you?
We've been working with the municipal engineer and public works and the administration addressing the notice violation issues and probably most importantly the K Street issue with the L Street Beach closing. So it's really kind of a two-pronged attack right now that we've set in motion. The first one is really kind of dealing with DEP and let's say their various issues and establishing some timeframes by which we can respond adequately to their various items. We had a meeting with them about a week and a half ago to discuss, let's say, the progress of them, of the violations and the, let's say, the strategies in order to address those strategies. I think that was a positive meeting. It was a room of like, I don't know, 15 or 20 people. So there was a lot of different viewpoints, enforcement and what have you. We're at that meeting. And really I think the thrust of that meeting was that the L Street Beach is probably the most crucial of all the items that came up there. You know, it was recognized that, you know, aging infrastructure, and it is an issue throughout the state. It's not just happening here in Belmar, or a lot of these older coastal towns have old, old infrastructure that needs to be addressed. And, to that end, the administration has already, set forth a number of activities specifically addressing the items that DEP cited. Those include the cleaning and the televising of the defects along the Route 35. I mean, the critical portion of the L Street, Beach, K Street, sanitary sewer issues originate along probably like Route 35 and a bit of 8th Avenue. We haven't been able to totally dial into exactly what is the cause, but by cleaning and televising and doing chemical grouting of the defects in the lines affected along Route 35 and 8th Avenue, that has been advanced so far from Maplewood to D Street. That helps exclude extraneous flows into those, into the sewer system, which would go toward alleviating surcharging. That really is the problem when it comes to the K Street and L Street Beach issues. Also, there's been a manhole at K Street and Route 35 that was retrofitted with a manhole liner such that, to not allow inundation of the sanitary sewer with water runoff from the roadway itself. And so it's really kind of a way to keep extraneous water out of the system. So that was one item. Public Works has initiated, or really taken the steps to fixing. There's a pump station within the Route 35 corridor opposite 11th Street that has not been operational for some time, and they've taken the positive steps to have the contractor come in to essentially restore the capacity of that system, the functioning of that system, again, in a goal to overcome or mitigate any surcharging that does happen along the river. Along the, let's say, the Route 35 corridor. Again, we're trying to ascertain, and that's probably a larger issue, as to why it surcharges, but really we feel that the first steps are to eliminate the conditions by which the system could discharge sanitary sewer anywhere other than down to the pump station at Ocean Avenue. So, you know, the why is part of the story, but really the immediate effect is, let's try to get it so that it doesn't discharge, and then we can work on the why. And that's going to work in parallel. It's not like it's something that happens in series. It happens in parallel, but that's probably a longer thing. So getting that pump station restored to its, let's say, its former glory or some sort of glory will certainly help alleviate the burden along the Route 35 system there. Other actions were the cleaning of the sanitary mains in L Street, Briarwood, Pine Tree, Oakwood, and Maplewood, as well as having degreaser applied to those various lines. So those are, you know, positive steps, and those are all tributary to that K Street manhole at Route 35, which is really the kind of focus of that surcharge issue. That happens to be hydraulically the low point in the system, and unfortunately it's right opposite L Street Beach. So that's why this is really such a focus, the L Street and the K Street. We're actually performing, starting tomorrow, land surveying of the system from Main Street, 8th Avenue and Route 35, from Main Street to probably Maplewood at least, to establish what the profile of the system is, although the main in Route 35 has been addressed over probably the last 20 years. I think probably like 3 different construction projects. There's really no as-built information to establish what the hydraulic capacity of any of those systems are, and frankly, we're not necessarily sure what we can do about them, but having an informed opinion of where a bottleneck may be in that system could go a long way to making sure that whether it's the operation of the pump station that we're getting fixed or some other measures, how, you know, the efficacy of whatever those measures might be, this will help tell inform the decisions that will be made. Because some of these things, I mean, DEP recognized it in our meeting. A lot of these things can be fixed, but they're not necessarily cheap. And the idea is we're trying to find cost-effective measures, and Public Works has already embarked on cost-effective measures to help mitigate the situation. We want to continue in that vein. And really that was where we were trying to go with DEP too, because yes, you can throw a ton of money at it, but I mean, you know, the borough doesn't necessarily have a ton of money. So we're going to try to find, you know, kind of low-hanging fruit and go from there in an effort to, you know, to alleviate the situation, certainly at K Street and L Street, but then ultimately for extraneous flows throughout the borough. It's not like we're only focusing on that. There's larger issues for another day. It's just L Street and K Street have the light on them right now, and that's what we're really focusing on. So that's really my report of where we are right now. We are within the timeframes that we established with DEP for responses to the various things in the notice, and we're working with Public Works in order to achieve those deadlines and come up with meaningful solutions. And, you know, we're going to be developing more of a costing framework because some of these things are going to protract out. You know, some of the mechanisms we spoke of, I mean, of course, the town can bond for monies to do various improvements, but there's also the I-Bank through the New Jersey DEP. They have a funding mechanism. It used to be called the Environmental Infrastructure Trust. They actually even have, so they have programs that are very favorable in terms of interest rates, straight out, like for, let's say, any applicant, but, there is a funding mechanism there called their Coastal Communities Program that actually we think that Belmar and at least a good portion of their problems, let's say, qualify for consideration under that program. They're even a little more favorable with some potential principal forgiveness, but I don't want to guarantee anything. Those things come and go. But the idea is that we're going to try to fit in under that framework going forward, because that really probably is, let's say, probably the most affordable way for the municipality to move forward with the larger work embedded within the notice and the actions that they need to take to mitigate that.
Okay, thank you for coming here tonight, and I know you're putting in a ton of time to try to alleviate this problem, along with Mike Campbell and his crew. I mean, it is our #1 concentration to try to get this straightened out, and I have to say, I have to commend Business Administrator Kirschenbaum, because he is also putting in a lot of time to get this straightened out. We had meetings with state and county, and so we're all trying to work together to get this done, so we can get that L Street Beach back open. Anybody have any questions before Anthony's up?
I just have one question. Do you have, is there, there's no timeline or anything like this? Do you have a hope for, I should know this by this point, or when we get this done, I'll know this?
Well, unfortunately, many of these things are going to, there's a couple of different timelines. Of course, the things that, let's say, Public Works has embarked on, whether it's the removal of extraneous flows or the working of the pump station once it's operable, which is supposed to be, I think they're installing the pumps toward the end of this month, so they could be operational next, let's say sometime in May. But until we really see this, get it calibrated and see this thing in action, again, it's been out of service for a while, so we don't really know how it reacts with the system, how it will benefit the system. In theory, it should benefit the system, but how and to what extent we really need to evaluate. So, and that's where we're trying to deal with DEP. Of course, the notice of violation was everything had to be done within 30 days. So, of course, that's impossible to do. And that's where we've tried to work with them and said, try to come up with a manageable schedule by which we can, let's say, effectuate, whether it be studies, actual improvements, be able to prove out, because, ultimately, this has to be sustainable. It's not just that, we kind of live through the summer. Ultimately, this is something that's an ongoing thing. We want to have belt and suspenders on the whole thing, that, maybe the pump station's the belt and we figure out something for the suspenders, but that's what we really need to kind of get to. But, understanding your system, the dynamics of your system, takes time, and, we've been working with, the Public Works folks who really have kind of that institutional knowledge. We're trying to extract what we can out of their memory banks to, hopefully fine-tune our approach.
Thank you. Is any of this infrastructure the responsibility of the South Monmouth Regional Sewage Authority, SMRSA, or where do those responsibilities delineate?
Now, so South Monmouth's authority really is their pump station down on 8th and Ocean Avenue is really where they intercept the sewage from town and they take ownership from that pump station. So it's our responsibility to essentially collect and transmit the sewage to their pump station.
Okay.
So there's really no, they've been very helpful in providing documentation. I actually worked with the executive director at a different employer years ago. He has a lot of institutional knowledge, and I've really been tapping his brains on the work that he did both at our former employer and at the authority, because he has real-time metering of results that he shares with me as well. So we're, it's not like I'm just kind of working in a vacuum. This is really a cooperative effort with Public Works, with SMRSA, and because really, SMRSA wants this, extraneous flow issue to be addressed just as much as the ratepayers here do, just as much as DEP wants it done, because any extra flow that goes to Smyrna puts a burden on their system.
How many pump stations does the borough have? And are all the other ones operational? Is this the only one that failed?
Yes, so as far as I know, that's the only one that's not operational. The 6th Avenue, the Inlet Terrace, those are, as far as I know, operational. This has really been the focal point because of the L Street Beach issue. It was logic. Something's not working. It's 2 blocks away from where you're having the problem. We got to get, if somebody put it there, whatever, 30, 40, 50 years ago and thought it was a good idea, let's get that thing back in operation.
Can we put alarms or some kind of a monitoring system on those pump stations?
That's part of it. One of the things DEP is requiring through the notice is both metering and telemetry. And so that's hasn't been totally nailed down yet, but that is part of the package that ultimately will be fitted out in that pump station.
Thank you.
And just to build off of that, alarming and telemetry for all of the pump stations as well?
Yes.
Or do they all have
Yes,
it
we
already?
will get there, but of course, you know, that's, I don't want to minimize any of the situations, but really because of the impact of the L Street Beach, we really, a lot of the focus has been on getting that right. Not to say that we're ignoring the other ones, they're going to come, and they're within the, but even DEP recognized that the L Street Beach is A1 on the list.
Sure, understood.
Thank you, Al, and we do appreciate you coming here and explaining to everybody exactly what's going on.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Jim, you want to do the Arbor Day proclamation?
I'm going to do this as well as Council President Brennan did with the students. But the Shade Tree Commission has a proclamation that was prepared for Arbor Day 2019 that states, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. Whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are renewable sources of giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic viability of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar do hereby proclaim April 26, 2019 as Arbor Day in the Borough of Belmar. And the Mayor and Council hereby urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to plant trees and to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of future generations.
Thank you, Councilman McCracken. Okay, moving on to, does anybody have any petitions that they want to present to council? All right, seeing none. April, approval of minutes?
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th meeting?
Second.
Councilman Vaughn? Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walker?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Abstain.
Councilman Carvelli?
Okay, reports of council. Councilman Carvelli.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. So, first I want to start out with the boat show. Thank the BVP and the Marina staff and the DPW for all the work that they did. I think it was a good first-time event. I know that the Mayor has some additional details on the outcome, but I think there's a lot of potential for future years. This past month, I attended the Harbor Commission. I'm obviously Harbor Commission meeting. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about the boat show, and the only other main thing that came out of that was the new kayak racks are going to start being built soon. I also attended the BBP meeting. Again, a lot of discussion about the boat show, and there was a lot of discussion about the budget. They're going to be giving a presentation tonight, for which I got a sneak peek of. The ADA meeting I missed, so I'm hoping that Councilwoman Wan will be able to report on that. And the only other thing that I have is an update on the website. We now have, I know that our new digital, what's his title? Director of Multimedia, John Sabia, who's behind the cameras over there, broadcasting us live. I'm so comfortable about that. Anyway, I know that he's been diligently working on the website, and our schedules haven't aligned, but I plan to sort of get an update from him and hopefully be able to report back. But I know that there's a lot of work being done on redesign and revamping the website, so you can check that out. But I think it's a work in progress, and it seems to be moving along pretty well. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Greg?
Yes, we had a Housing Authority meeting at the beginning of this month. All is well at the Belmar Housing Authority. Our superintendent there is looking for ways to achieve some energy efficiency with the exterior lighting, and the repairs to the boiler system and all have gone quite well. Inconsistent with the proclamation I read for Arbor Day, we have a meeting coming up at the end of this month for the Shade Tree Commission, and we'll be working with both Belmar Elementary schools, Belmar Elementary and St. Rose, actually a plant tree here in Belmar for the reasons that were cited in the proclamation, to beautify our town.
Oh, thank you. Councilwoman Wong.
Thank you, Mayor. We had an ADA meeting beginning at the end of last month, and we wanted to bring awareness to the schools of autism. And I know the elementary school just had a program recently on autism, but we were talking about a contest possibly, or a contact with the schools, with St. Rose, with the grammar school, and the high school programs. And asking for volunteers from the schools to help with the ADA programs and making an awareness of autism and other help that as seniors need also. So we're working on that. We're working on an art program also for the students. We talked about that, again, to make the town people aware of some of these problems. Moving on to, I'm happy to announce that our Belmar Police Department Community Policing Program is up and ready to go. I don't know if any of you remember, we had a program like this 20 years ago where the residents got involved with the police, and we're a helping hand in making them aware of some of the problems that they can't always see. This year, we've divided the town into 4 zones. We have the Lake Como zone, Belmar North from 1st to 10th, Belmar South from 10th Avenue to North Boulevard, and Belmar West, which is west of Main Street, to include the marina. Each of these zones will have a police sergeant and 2 other police officers who will answer to the residents of these areas. Within the zones, there's going to be a residential block captain, and the captain and an alternate, for each block. And there will also be block captains, and they will filter the quality of life. Like for instance, Memorial Day is coming up, and if you see a house with a CO for 4 and there's 20,000 kids moving in, you know this is the house that we need to watch. So these are the things that the residents can do that the police can't always see. And so we can kind of keep a watch on things that are going on. And we're going to be working with the police department very closely. And hopefully this is going to improve our quality of life. The first meeting we're going to have is going to be the South Zone, which is going to be 10th Avenue to North Boulevard. And our sergeant will be Sergeant Lynch, Police Officer Allen, Kelly, Clayton, and Yee. And we will be working with them. So there's going to be a form to fill out. Hopefully it will be online, and you can, we were kind of working as to whether to mail these forms or to put them up online or have them dropped off. I mean, back in the day, we did go door to door and drop them off. We're going to try and get them online for you to fill out. They will come back to me, and it will be announced at the next zone meeting, which is going to be Saturday, April 27th at 9:30. So next Saturday after Easter, here at the Municipal Building, and we'll start our policing program. I want to thank Mr. Lynch, Lieutenant Lynch, for his help, and did I just give him a raise? Oh my God, we have no money, sorry. Oh my God, take me out now.
You'll get
I need to. But anyway, I'm very excited about the community policing program. Thank you, Drew Eisen, our police chief. I got that right. Okay, good. Thank you very much, and I look forward to everybody becoming involved in this. It's really a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have several things. I've been busy. Keeping with the sports theme of this evening, I want to make sure everybody knows that the Los Angeles Sparks of the WNBA has drafted Belmar's own Marina Mabry, right? She was drafted 19th in the draft. She's a senior at Notre Dame. So close, so close. She finished the senior season, let's see, she averaged 12.8 points and 4.4 assists per game. Shot 41% on three-pointers. Oh my God. She is the all-time leader in three-point field goals made in Notre Dame history. So a big shout out to Marina Mabry and all the Mabrys. They're a real credit to Belmar, the real pride to Belmar, and really looking forward to great things from her in her professional career. All right. I want to echo what Councilman Carvelli said about the Harbor Commission meeting. A lot of discussion about the boat show. Just my 2 cents. I think this past weekend was basically a proof of concept for something that was not really advertised. It was, put together very, very quickly. It came off very well, and the best thing I can say, I went down both days, the boats looked great. The whole thing was set up so it was very inviting. Yeah, it would have been nice to see more people, but we did fine. For the first time on an event like this, I've been involved in planning outdoor events many times, many years. It really was pretty good. Proof of concept is exactly what we're talking about. Okay, so then I went to the Environmental Commission meeting on Thursday. They are still working on their environmental resource inventory. This is an incredibly exhaustive document. Not only does it talk about environmental resources like water and the land, but it also talks about any other aspects that affect sustainability in the community, including history. It's got one of the most, if you want to know about the history of Belmar, the most comprehensive history I've ever seen is in the ERI. The document is more than 10 years old. It was prepared with the help of a paid consultant. In consulting other environmental commissions in the area, it turns out they're in the same boat we're in. They have a document that was prepared professionally, but nobody has the money to pay another consultant to update it, so everybody's doing it themselves. So environmental commission members were given different sections to work on. I was given a bunch of homework to do, which I'm getting right to. A couple of things came up in discussion. one of the things they'd like to do is they'd like to have their October meeting in Taylor Pavilion and invite all the other environmental commissions in the area to attend so we can showcase the pavilion to them, let them see what it's like. So they're definitely going to be getting in touch with Business Administrator Kirschenbaum. Told them to talk to Ed. The recycling center, one of the things that came up is, one of the things the Environmental Commission is investigating is the possibility of having town-wide composting. Brielle does it, several other towns in the area do it. It would involve finding an appropriate site. That seems to be the #1 issue. Where would we be able to do it ourselves? And then basically educating people to do it. But one of the big benefits is it really cuts down on the amount of trash that has to be taken to the dump. I know at my house, I'm married to a master composter, so we haven't thrown a banana peel in the garbage for 15 years. I mean, it really, even when all three of my kids, we were 5 people living in a house, we never put the garbage out more than once every 2 weeks. And we're talking about 1 or 2 cans at the most. Most of it goes in the compost. It's amazing between recycling and composting. So one possibility could be, and they're going to be getting in touch with Public Works to talk about it, is in one of the other towns, what they do is the carter, one pickup is regular garbage and one pickup is compost garbage. Now you have to make sure everybody knows what's going on. You have to make sure they understand the benefits. And #1, we have to find a place to do it. But then when you have the compost there, people just come and take it for free. You can get your compost for your garden. You don't have to go and spend a lot of money at Home Depot on stuff. You can just get the compost for free. It could be a real win-win, but we have to work out the details, and they're definitely going to get in touch about that. That's the main thing from them. I also attended a mayor's roundtable sponsored by the New Jersey League of Municipalities. It's on a dual topic of affordable housing and marijuana legislation. I'm really not sure why they're related, except when you look at the affordable housing regulations, you must think to yourself, oh, what were these guys high? The cannabis stuff was, there was a lot of information, there was a very, very wide variety of opinions. That's a discussion for another day. As far as the affordable housing goes, basically, what was discussed at the roundtable is the fact that even though the state has this one-size-fits-all formula, which hasn't really been used correctly, it's totally out of date, and we can't do anything about it until the legislature decides to do something, which they almost did but didn't do. The problem with that plan, and whatever plan they come up with, it's a one-size-fits-all kind of solution, which doesn't make any sense at all, because the fellow from Green Township, which is 3,600 people in one flashing light, has the same kind of thing to do as Fort Lee and, Dumont. It's like, so I'm going to get with Clerk Claudio, double check what units we have in Belmar. The best thing for us would be to be prepared with the information we have in case the state decides they're actually going to do something, we find out where we're at. One of the really helpful things has been, I know that the development on 10th Avenue, 10% of those units, 6 units, are going to be affordable housing. That means, I guess, they go on a list and people who are on the affordable housing list, I'm not really sure how that process works. But I tell you, affordable housing, when you think about it, one of the things that they talked about, and I'll just leave you with this, that they said that in New Jersey, you have to make $27 an hour to be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. That's the main thing, and that's statewide. That's not even thinking about what it's like in North Jersey. $27 an hour computes to about $58,000 a year. I mean, none of my kids make that, and they work hard, and they're years away from making that kind of money. Where are they supposed to live? So that was it. That's my report.
Thank you. I just have a couple of things. I know we want to move this along because we have a lot on the agenda. One, I want to talk about the marina, the boat show. For how it was put together, we really have to commend the BVP because they did a great job on putting together in a short period of time. The objective was to showcase our marina and try to get some of the slips filled up, and I think because of the boat show, we got 6 more people that are involved. Also on tonight, you'll see on the resolution calendar that we have a couple slips that at low tide don't have any water, or the pilings are missing, and they're things that they can't be rented out at full price. So we're going to try to cut the price in half, and we're going to see if we can get some of those slips taken at a reduced rate, because nobody else could go in them. They'll never pay the full rate for it. So we're going to try some of that to try to get some of these slips filled up, because we had a lot of empty slip shield last year, and that's one of the objectives, to get the marina back to where it should be. Other than that, the only thing I want to talk about, I know I brought it up at the last meeting about the Taylor Pavilion. We're working to try to get everything ironed out. But basically what we're doing is, the way it operates right now, if you have a 6-hour wedding down at the Taylor Pavilion, we get $240, which probably doesn't even cover the utilities. So the prices are going to go up. There's going to be a discount for Belmar residents, and the problems that we've been having down there with people bringing in their own food and trying to cook down there and all that, we're going to eliminate all that, and we're going to designate up to 10 caterers in the area, preferably from Belmar, but that's the legal issue that we're going to work out if we can do it that way, or we have to put it out there and then do an interview process. But I don't want really more than 10 that anybody that uses the Taylor Pavilion would have to go through one of these caterers, make it fair for everybody, and the caterers would be responsible for doing everything, instead of, everybody in town having to put all their efforts into making $240 for a 6-hour wedding. So there's a couple things we're doing there. I was hoping to have it all ready to go for this meeting. There's a little logistic stuff that's got to be straightened out, so hopefully we have that on for next meeting. Other than that, I think that's all I have right now. I mean, like I said before, DPW and Kirschenbaum, everybody involved is trying to get that L Street Beach going, so we can get that all cleaned up, and hopefully we'll be successful on doing that. And then we're going to concentrate on flooding problem down there. But it's a couple-step process, because we've had meetings with the state and the county. They are closing the beach until we get it straightened out, which is causing a little bit of chaos for us, because the media says it's Belmar Beaches. Well, it's not Belmar Beaches, it's just the L Street Beach. The ocean's fine, and I've been getting a million calls on it. But other than that, that's all I have right now. So we're going to move on with the meeting, and anybody have public session on the resolution items? Anybody want to come up and talk about that? Yes.
My name is Cy Wright. I'm on 5th Avenue in Belmar.
Hi, Cy.
And David Mary. I think it's terrific that we had 3 students here, America, Bella, and Lucas, that received a special recognition award. And I commend Councilman Brennan on bringing up the fact that we have a family in town, in particular one person. And I'm going to quote from the Asbury Park Press. Mabry, a 4-year stud with Notre Dame and a high school star in the Shore Conference, was selected 7th pick of the 2nd round, the 19th overall pick by the Los Angeles Sparks in the 2019 WNBA draft. Mabry, a Belmar native, became the 2nd player ever since the Shore Conference to be drafted to the NBA. Not only does Marina have a very strong history, but her family has a strong history. She has a sister who won for Notre Dame an NCAA championship. She has a younger sister who plays for Virginia Tech, who made the Final Four. I think a person who has obtained this notoriety, this status in basketball, meaning Marina, should get recognition beyond just the council. I think that the family overall should be recognized because they have proudly, how can I say, represented Belmar for over 9 years. Even if there was a sign on the, at the marina sign that said congratulations Mabry, even if there was a key given to Mabry, she was on national television. They said on national television that she's from native of Belmar, New Jersey. She deserves recognition. She deserves a plaque. She deserves a letter.
And we're going to do that. It's just that the timing of it of coming out, we couldn't get it done at this meeting, so we have to reach out to them and see when they're available. And it's a good idea. I think we will put it up on the sign.
I think
that is a good
something
idea.
done.
Yeah.
She's achieved some she's had tremendous achievements. Now, is this the time also to talk about some of the resolutions?
That's what it's for, yeah, resolutions.
Now, Resolution 2019-89, and my father was a police officer. So I have absolutely no problem with the police officer. I'm an honorary silver member of the PBA. When you talk about the police officers that are going to be adopted as special ones,
Yes.
the only question I have is, are they replacements or are they additional special ones?
What happens with our specials is that they come in on a young age, and when they get here, they work a few years and they move on to a regular police officer's position. So these are people that have been gone, and they're
go to special ones.
right. And these are the special ones that are being replaced.
All right,
Yes.
does that mean that? Okay, you're confusing me. All right, so you have special twos that get promoted to special ones. Is that because?
No, ones go to twos.
Yeah.
Ones first, then they go to gun carrying twos.
So they carry into twos. Okay, now, are you replacing then the ones that are gonna go to twos?
Yeah, that's what this is for tonight. Yeah, those are the ones that are coming on for this summer.
So, in the overall head count, are we increasing?
No, we're way down. Way down. Yeah, we probably still need more, but we're working on that.
In that same resolution, there was a acquisition of vehicles, for, I guess, the police department,
Yes,
and also the 911 system, and also computer equipment. And
yes, that's in one of the capital budget resolutions that we're going to adopt tonight. One of the ways that these resolutions work, because we have no money to fund them right now, and they're in desperate need of this stuff, especially the 911 system. It hasn't been replaced since the day I've been there, and
It's because it works.
it's working now, but they have to get parts on eBay because they don't even make them anymore. I mean, when this thing goes, it's bad, and we do 911 dispatching for 3 towns. It's something that we can't wait on any longer. But this resolution tonight is not to go out and get the money right away. It's a resolution that if we are able to fund it through the course of the year, we would have to go out for some bonding in December. So, because we have no money in reserve for these kind of things, we have to do it by resolution. Through the course of the year, we're going to try to get this down before we go out to bond, but because of the way the laws work, we have to put it in place now because these are the things that we need. We're going to try to, like $200,000 for the 911 system, we're going to go out to bid and try to get it way down from that, but because we have no reserve or anything to get these things, we have to put these in place. None of these things will be bonded until December when we go out to bond, but we're going to be working through the course of the year with things that we've put in place to try to get these numbers down. But the resolution, but by law, we have to introduce it tonight.
Listen, we all use 911 systems, so I think that,
And it's one of the most important pieces of
it's that
equipment.
antiquated that needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
What about the acquisition of vehicles? Because I gotta tell you, I think we got a pretty staunch, police vehicle department here.
Our issues in Belmar, because we have 2 that are completely down now, and that's the 2 we're replacing. The problem is that you see a lot of cars, but they're all being used during summer, and then we're gonna keep them all winter. Well, the specials aren't here, and they have to sit, but we need the cars for the summer. So it's a situation that is unique to our town, because, you know, usually you have other towns that it's steady all year long. We have that influx of people. We need the police cars during the summer, and then you see them sitting all year long. But two of them are we definitely need before summer.
I don't want to show my age, but when I was a kid, my father drove a police car and had a cherry top on the top of the roof. You know,
They didn't have computers in them. They didn't have all the equipment in them.
and the point I'm making is.
We had no radios. You just rolled down the window and yelled.
Yeah, well, not that. But the average police car today costs $108,000, you know, and again, the police department, as does the.
Yeah, what'd you say it cost?
What's that?
What did you say the average cost was?
$106,000 for a police car.
Where are you buying them at?
Off the line, it's $30,000 off the line. If it's a Ford Intercept, it's $30,000 off the line, and by the time they computerize it, light it, label it. No? That's
Not accurate.
What is it?
That's $65,000. And here's the other deal about the police cars, sir.
65,000 complete?
Listen, yes, sir. Here's the other deal about police cars. They bought one car since 2014. They've got hundreds of thousands of miles over. They're falling apart. All the cars are falling apart. It may look like we have a lot of cars out there. They're all falling apart. They're very unsafe. We got to keep our officers safe. We got to keep our town safe. So that necessitates us getting cars sooner rather than later.
It's not like your regular car, because these things run 24 hours a day without shutting
My
off.
sources tell me that it's a lot more than that. That's all. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate it, and as always, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on the resolution calendar? Yes, Mr. Dilberger.
Tom Dilberger, 1000 River Road. Just to talk about that for a second, the vehicles and everything. One way to alleviate everybody getting out of this good that we're all sitting is to put an officer off season, before Memorial Day, after Labor Day, on a beat. The downtown, now we're doing Lake Como, so from the bridge to what, Lake Como, it's a fair walk, on a beat, a block off either way of Maine, come back, keep moving all day long, all night long. Saves on a vehicle. Off season. Understandably, during the season here, it gets kind of weird, and they have to have their vehicles. But during the off season, we could do this and save on the vehicles a bit. I know that's a crazy idea, but there it is.
Well, the chief and I, in our early career, had to walk Main Street for a lot of years before we got into a car. And the problem is that when you cut officers back, and the first one that goes, cutting the officer back, they need to, because we only have 3 patrol cars on to cover 2 towns at any one time.
But that's not covering cutting back. He's still on patrol, and he's still got his walkie-talkie. So, his emotion, it could work. Like I say, we all
I used to enjoy it. I loved it, but
exactly.
Times have
Being
changed.
outdoors and everything is good for the man. It is good for a man. It is not a good idea for a man to be sitting during his youth. This is terrible. I really feel bad when I see a patrolman doing that all day long, every day, as a young man. It's not a good thing.
Thank you. Anybody else on the resolution calendar? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on. April?
I have a motion to close the public hearing.
Make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to approve the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay. Councilman Vaughn? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Mayor Walter?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay. April, we go down to,
Yes, next we have the public hearing on the special improvement district budget.
Okay, I pay into that, so I have to excuse myself. Ooh.
Belmar Casey, president of the BVP. I'm sure everybody has read our submit of a budget. And it includes what we have done in the past and the predictions for 2018. Actually, our budget is lower than it is from last year. And I want to comment on the boat show. I think it was a great event to grow on it. Great first time, considering our restriction on our lease. And our flags. I hope everybody likes our flags that we put up, or the we put up. And our predictions are in the pamphlet that you have.
Anyone from the public want to speak on the budget?
Anyone in the audience?
Anyone from the council?
So I don't know if everyone has had an opportunity to see this or not, but I thought this document was very professional. And it was just very well put together, particularly your letter. I thought that it really set the stage for how the rest of the document unfolded. And you've obviously accomplished good things. Your 29 key accomplishments in 2018 were highlighted, and your 2019 strategic priorities, I think will make Belmar certainly a better place to live and shop and visit. My only comment was, I would just, and I know we've talked about this in the past, privately and at the BVP meeting. I just think we'll get greater efficiency in Belmar with all of our events. If tourism, the harbor, the beach, the arts council, library, all the various groups coordinate together, particularly when it comes to promoting events and how we can streamline those promotions, whether print advertising or social media and stuff like that. So I just like the business partnership to think about that. We have Frank Sinelli now here at the Burroughs working with all of you on those efforts. And there was some mention of it in here. I just wanted to mention that because I just think that that's important for all those groups to coordinate together, like you did at the boat show with the Harbor Commission. That was great. I was there both days as well, and it was a very nice event. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. Well, since the new administration, it's a lot easier to work with everybody in town. In the past, we had it really difficult. Nobody communicated, nobody got along, and I think this year is going to be a wonderful year for all of us. We're looking forward to it. And I'm going to make a suggestion. I thought about it coming over here. I think maybe, possibly, the BVP should join the force to be one entity instead of two. Only a suggestion.
The what?
Thank you very
Repeat
much.
that, please. We didn't hear it.
Any other comment from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Could we hear what he just said? We couldn't hear. What does he
I'm
want
sorry.
to put together?
So would you mind saying that again for the microphone?
Well, this year has been a lot easier working with everybody in the town. And on the way here, I thought maybe we should join hands with tourism and become one entity instead of two. We both do events. I think it's time to think about it. It's only a suggestion.
Thank you. Thank
You're welcome.
Any other comments? All right, thanks. Does that mean now we need a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes.
So moved.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next, can we have a motion to approve the resolution approving the 2019 Special Improvement District Budget and Assessment Roll?
I'll make that motion.
Do you have a second? Councilman Lund? Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
I just want to make a comment about what Sal brought up, that we are really trying to work together on everything that we're doing, and trying to bring everything together, streamline it, so, and they've been great to work with us also, so knowing what our situation is as far as budgeting and everything else, they took over handling the Friday night concerts, which was big savings for us, so I really want to thank you guys for that.
Okay. Moving forward with possibly events at the marina, I really don't know the lease situation. I don't understand it. I don't even think you knew it was in there until...
Well, we're going to have a post meeting on Monday morning about everything that went on, so we'll discuss it then,
okay.
And then we'll try to figure out some of the improvements we have to make for next year.
Okay.
So we'll talk about all that on Monday.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Now we're moving on to working people. Since they're all first readings, can we take one vote on that? Or, I mean, if we go through...
You all first reading, Mayor, you can do it like
Yeah, I mean, they're all first readings, so there's no comment on them. So we got to go through, unless somebody has a problem with any of them?
No.
Okay. So we go through 9 and 16, so we can take one vote.
So can I have a motion to approve ordinances 2019-09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 for first reading and introduction? Do you have a second? Councilman Long? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsberg?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
All right, now we're moving on to public session. So, anybody, gentlemen right here, come on up. You got to state your name for us and your address.
Hey, my name's Kyle Jones, and I live at 412 11th Avenue.
Hi, Kyle.
So I've lived here my entire life, and I am speaking on behalf of the skateboard park community. Skateboarding has exploded into one of the most popular sports in the U.S. An estimated 12 million Americans own and ride skateboards, with more than 1 million new kids picking up the sport every day and every year. Yet, despite the phenomenal growth, there are too few skate parks nationwide where skaters can legally ride. And I've been skateboarding since I was 9 years old at Belmar Skate Park when it opened in 2009. So when I heard the news that the skate park was going to close, I wanted to do something about it, and I wanted to give my part on how I feel about it. So, our town of Belmar was one of the first to embrace the recreation and the benefits of having a public skate park. The Belmar Skate Park is one of the most popular recreational facilities in town, and in my opinion, more popular than the basketball courts, baseball diamonds, and soccer fields. The Belmar Skate Park is a vital part to our town, for there is a family at Belmar Skate Park. We all care about our skate park and love each other, everyone who comes in it. Skateboarding is a family, and I would hate to see everyone just not see each other anymore. I've met so many friends at Belmar Skate Park. All my best friends are from Belmar Skate Park, who are with me today. And it would just be such a shame to see the skate park go to waste. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just quickly on that, the reason why we're taking a look at it is because of the damage that's being done, and nobody's following the rules down there. I'm going to have Administrator Kirschenbaum talk in a minute on it, but it's been a big burden for the DPW to keep repairing it. You know, we try to do a lot of things down there, and some of the kids, and I'm not saying it's your group or anything like that, but they break up the fences, they break up parts of the skateboard park, they ride bikes all over, and the police department doesn't have the time to put an officer down there all the time that it's open. So
Yeah, I understand.
we were looking at different ways on how we were going to control this. Not that we were looking to close it right away. I mean, that was one option we were looking at. We were looking at leasing it. But somehow we have to figure out how we can control, because we can't have DPW there every day fixing all the things that are broke, and having the police department there every day, making sure that everybody has their helmets on and all their equipment on. So, but I'm going to let Administrator Kirschenbaum speak on that in a minute, because he's come up with a few ideas to keep it open and try to work on this.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, okay, go ahead. No, I just want to say, Kyle, you know, I'm a mother of a skater from way back when there was, and nobody's trying to close the park. We want you kids to have a skate park, but we have to work within our boundaries.
Yeah.
But we're going to try real hard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ed?
Thank you. How this all came about, April 3rd, myself and Mike Kimball met with the skate shop on Main Street. And we spoke to the owner there. Since the weather started getting warmer, I'm a Lake Como Belmar resident, and I've known you since you were born.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we would go down by the skate park. It would be littered with debris. And we talked about this. We had a meeting yesterday, and I'll get into that in a minute. And we asked the owner of the skate park, because we had heard that he wanted to take some kind of ownership of it. Years past, we wanted to see if we could form a bond for somebody at least to assist us with the compliance issues down at the skate park. His first comment was, if you close that skate park, you're going to kill my business. Well, I got to tell you that, all due respect, we want all our businesses in town to make money, but at the end of the day, our issue is not about the skate park, skate shop going out of business. It's about compliance, and about, the first thing is the safety of all the skaters down there. I've seen head injuries throughout my career in law enforcement. It's not a pretty sight. It's a tough sight. I know what I'm saying here for a lot of the parents of the young skaters and even the skaters of today, because you're always a parent. They wish all of you would wear your helmet, your protective gear, because you never know from one minute to the next what's going to happen to you. Now, what we've come up with is our plan is to work with a partnership. And I met yesterday with Kyle and Mr. Sean Brady, and we had some real good dialogue. And what we're forming right now is the Belmar Skate Park Volunteer Committee, where we're going to have these here. I've seen everybody sign petitions. I've seen everybody post on Facebook.
Yeah,
I've seen all.
whole petition with me today.
We get the petitions. We get it. Here's the deal. We want compliance. We want people to skate safely. I've already talked to DPW. We're going to start this committee. We want to start getting funds for an ambassador of the skate park, where we empower older skaters to teach safety to the younger skaters, and to teach them how to wear a helmet, to keep the bikes out of the skate park, to keep the concrete out of the skate park. I've talked to Mike Campbell already. We're going to form this committee, and we're going to go down. I know there's some rough edges down there that are very unsafe. I know the macadam is unsafe. We want to try to get some donations. We want to try to get a group together to make that park safe and get into compliance. And you yourself told me yesterday.
Yeah.
You remember what you told me yesterday?
Which part?
What are you going to wear when you go to the skate park?
Oh yeah, I said I would wear a helmet. Just.
This is the perfect role model. I got to tell you, if Kyle Jones goes down there with some of the young kids, and if he is so dead against wearing a helmet, believe me.
Yeah.
But if he wears a helmet, it empowers all the ambassadors of the skate park to teach compliance, to follow some of the rules. That's all we're asking.
I think if I were to start wearing a helmet, and I got a few other kids who are a big part in Belmar Skate Park to wear a helmet, I think we could get with good terms with Belmar Borough and help fix the skate park up, maybe even repave it, because the pavement's pretty.
We're going to try, and I know Sean's going to start some type of organization. We're going to play this forward. We want a program for all the kids. We want it safe, and at the end of the day, listen, litigation is always a part of the borough problem, but realistically, litigation, we deal with litigation all the time. We don't want anybody hurt. Okay, that at the end of the day, we want you safe. And I know parents, and I was the same way with my kids when they went out of the house, wear your helmet. They would wear their helmet, out of the house and not wear it around the corner.
Trust me, my mom always pushed my helmet on me, and then I just
took it off.
Took it off. Yeah.
Right. So I do have, we understand the petitions. I got more calls on the skate park, more petitions, more email. At the end of the day, we want to form a partnership with everybody involved in the skate park. Make some ambassadors of safe skating. I've got forms here to sign at the end of this meeting. Come up and see me, and we'll set up our first meeting. We'll meet with DPW, and we'll make sure the place is safe. Does that make sense?
Awesome, yeah.
And I want to thank you for starting this ball rolling. But I wanted everybody to know what the truth was. All we want is compliance, and we want you all safe.
Okay.
All right?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else? Linda, come on up. It gave you the numbers, right?
Yes, I got the numbers.
All right, good. Because I forgot.
Linda Sharp is 400 4th Avenue. I have a couple questions, and unfortunately we didn't have a chance to ask these when the man from H2M was here. But are there sufficient grease traps on the restaurants along the water? If we beef that up, will we improve the situation for
I don't know who controls that, but I think either it's plumbing or Board of Health controls that. They all have to have them. They all have to have them. So.
Okay, my second question is, with the increased occupancy at Marina Grill, considering it's not even season, we're having the sewage issue. Part of it because there are now 1,000 people there on a Saturday night using these facilities. Are the sewer lines insufficient for this amount of waste going on a regular basis?
The only time we have a problem with that sewer line is the infiltration of rainwater, because normally, on a normal day, it flows fine. We have no problem, and I'm sure Mike Campbell can attest to that. We have a problem with somewhere along the line, there's a big infiltration of water when we get a heavy rain. And that's the problem that whether it's partially broken pipe or where it's coming from, I don't even think it's coming from sub pumps, because it happens immediately when it's raining, and I don't even think that the groundwater has a chance to go down into people's basements. So, but, you know, I'm not an expert on it, but I think that I don't think Marina Grill has anything to do with it, because the main line flows down 8th Avenue, and it's way before the Marina Grill issue. But I would say Marina Grill has really nothing to do with it.
We don't believe that has anything to do with it. It's nothing we're looking at.
Yeah.
Mayor, I have some stats here, if I may.
Okay.
You know, the media made a big deal out of this all last week. And this is what I want the residents and our visitors to know. In 2017, 2018, the water was tested by the Monmouth County Health Department 37 occasions. Out of 37 occasions, we only had 4 results that were high. 4 results out of 2 years out of 37 occasions. And they happened after a significant rainfall, and they happened on a full moon or a new moon, which raises the water. You have to understand that this infiltration comes from not only heavy rainwater, but water, the geese, their droppings, everything flows into the sewer lines, everything empties in the river. So at the end of the day, that water quality is clean. I've gotten a lot of emails in regards to why we were telling people that the river wasn't safe. The river is safe. When we have significant rainfall and everything from our roadways, whether it be road salt, fertilizer, all our sewer lines, everything drains in that river, and it's not unique to Belmar. The entire surrounding municipalities of that body of water have problems with their infrastructure. So at the end of the day, 37 occasions was tested in 2 years, 2017, 2018, only 4 occasions was it high. And immediately after the rainfall, after the tide moved out, the water quality came back. I have the stats. I'm going to meet with the Monmouth County Health Department and the DEP to let them know that we've done our due diligence to make sure that we know that our quality is there, because there's a scare tactic out there that the Shark River Beach has a problem. It does, but it's based on a totality of circumstances. I can assure you that has nothing to do with Marina Grill, and we're diligently working on the problem with DEP, our engineers, and we're having a plan put together. I would rather err on the side of caution if we have to close the beach, because again, we want people safe. We'd rather err on the side of caution to make sure people are safe, so we gain control of that body of water, because that is very valuable to Belmar and the surrounding areas of Monmouth County. So we don't want to do that.
Thank you. One last question. Having been at Marina Grill the weekend after the incident where the guy pushed the woman down, occupancy seems like the whole restaurant has changed into a nightclub. Are there any restrictions on their lease that concludes taking tables out to change the nature? Because we went for Brian Kirk and the Jerks, it was packed. The next weekend was also packed. Is this what we're up against comes the summer, that we're going to be facing another DJs on the river?
I couldn't answer that question. I have to take a look at the restrictions on the lease and what the occupancy is. I mean, maybe the chief can answer those.
I think it's more to do with the type of liquor license they have, and if they have to serve food, or if it's a bar without.
Occupancy is set by the fire officials.
No, but alcohol is it a restaurant serving alcohol, or is it a bar?
It is both. They have a concessionaire license issued through the state, so they can serve alcohol at a bar as well as a restaurant.
But can the bar outweigh the number of tables in the restaurant?
The occupancy is set through the fire marshal and approved by an engineer. The moving of tables and to higher the occupancy, no, they can't do that.
So all the tables on the north side of the restaurant were removed for these events. I don't know who showed up for the event, but it's not serving the normal purpose of being a restaurant.
Well, they are a restaurant and they are a bar. They have a license that can allow that. Occupancy is set, does not change.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what your question is.
There's no restriction on having to have tables as opposed to clearing it out for dancing, and meaning it was packed. So
They have an
I guess
occupancy.
my concern is, how are they checking the occupancy?
I don't know if they have in the restrictions through the state, if they have to monitor that, but we have fire marshals that we do periodic checks. It's not just that establishment. We have occupancy compliances on every establishment with a liquor license throughout the town. So we work very good with our fire marshal to make sure that we stay within those guidelines. But the occupancy is the occupancy. So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes. Jeff.
Good evening. My name is Pat Paleo, 207 18th Avenue in Snyder. The reason why I'm here this evening is last October, an ordinance was agreed upon to change Snyder Avenue direction to north by the last council without full transparency. My son spoke with you right after you won the election, thank you very much, and you said, and to courtesy you and to the council, he waited till January until your reorganization, and then lately he spoke to the chief of police. So saying that, I just want to give a few facts, is that what you ultimately did to the grid from Snyder to Ocean to North Boulevard, I know I'm an administrator at a school, and my husband, and I should have like an easel here with all different color markers, because that is my style. But the understanding that was Snyder and B were both in the south direction. That was my understanding from that ordinance. And they wanted to reverse the streets and instead of having two streets south. No traffic study was conducted, and as a result, this is not a public safety issue, but it's not a matter for the police, but a matter for the council. The council has full authority to rescind this ordinance. Strictly a resident who does not live on Snyder petitioned the council for this change. There was a petition that was signed by the residents in the area. 97 residents were asked. 47 said yes. That's less than 50%. 30 residents live on Snyder. 4 said yes. 16 were not contacted at all, my family included. Asking that the ordinance is rescinded, 50% of the people that are mostly affected and impacted were not reached. The result of this change, the past council has caused a major traffic circle grid. Anyone living on Snyder between 18th and North Boulevard must go 4 blocks out of their way to get to their own home. Higher volume of traffic has already increased on Snyder and 18, especially on Snyder, because of this, and it's not even summer. I call it the battle of the parking. That's what it's going to ensue. There's been a higher, because of this, there's a higher volume on 19, Surf, and B. So in that entire grid, you've now created a traffic jam. You can't get in and out of that area. So I have a list of every scenario, and I'm not going to go on with them because it's so confusing, because A is north, B is south, east, west. However, if you're coming south on Ocean, and I usually went up 17. On the weekends, I do not go past DJs, and understandably so. It's a traffic nightmare. There's foot traffic there, and there's a lot of cars going in and out. There's Ubers, there's taxis. We just don't go. I live there near there. This is not about DJs. It's just about a traffic and safety part. So when you come up 17th now, you can't make a left on Snyder. You have to go all the way up to 18th, where that little divider is, that little peninsula. And then you have to make a left on 18th. And everybody's like, where's she going? And then you have to go all the way back down to Snyder. Or you pass DJs and cause more traffic on a Saturday night after you've come from dinner, and you've got to go down to North Boulevard. Make a right on North Boulevard, you're increasing the traffic there, and now you're making a right on Snyder to come home. So it's just one big circle. The people on 19th, in order to leave 19th, they have to go up 19 to B. But the street from Snyder to B is very, very, very narrow. And it's very difficult to make the left there. It's difficult now to make the left there when traffic is parked on both sides. It's going to be impossible in the summer. I don't want to repeat myself, but again, the Ubers and the taxis will just be, they're just going to circle. They're going to circle around. I know last year, 19th was closed around 10 o'clock at night, a couple of Saturday nights, because the traffic was so bad coming up 19th. So if that's done again, there's no way. All we'll be doing is circling around, round and round, from 18 down to Ocean, down to North Boulevard, down to Snyder to get to anybody's house. I'm even thinking, you know, I've been there all winter, and just every scenario I do coming out of the house, I'm writing it down. And it's really very, very hard. Just going to shopping, just food shopping, you have to get back on 18. I was so happy last year when, I guess, the police or the council, I don't know, had parking on one side of the street on 18th. I mean, that was just a blessing. So that just really alleviated a lot of traffic. But by turning Snyder, you've now increased that traffic because that's the only way out. You're not going to take 17 because there's no light at the end of 17 to make the left on Main. So you're going to take 17, you're going to go for pizza. If you're going food shopping, you're going to take 18 to get over to the ShopRite. So again, it's just traffic. I'm appealing to your sensibility and your responsibility, and did not come with a petition. However, if that's what you want, it could be arranged. While this is not a public safety issue, it will quickly become one, and we have enough challenges in South Belmar. You can sign me up for that, please. There's no logical value by adding the change to North. No resident should have to drive 4 blocks from Main Street to get to their house when you pass your driveway. Our house is the corner house on 18th and Snyder. And so right now, I'm sorry, I come down 18th, my husband yells at me, and I go down Snyder to get to my driveway because it's only, I don't know how many feet, but it's not much.
We've been watching.
I don't drive the black Volvo. My son even suggested to the police chief that on Saturdays he was going to do block parties and just close down Hall Street. But you have increased the volume and the flow on 18th at DJ's on Friday and Saturday night. It's there, we live with it, we know that it's there, but being proactive in decreasing that would be really to change the streets back. And I don't know what the impetus was to have the street changed. I heard, and I read some of the reports, I have the petition, and it was because two streets were going south. But if you're going to do that, and you think that that's the best way, then you have to start with the first street, which is Ocean. Well, Ocean goes both ways. But you have to start with the first street. You can't start with B, which is really what it is. You know, when you put something in alphabetical order, you don't start with M, you start with A. When you put something in numerical order, you don't start with 17, you start with 1. So if you feel that the streets need to go back and forth, north, south, at least start with surf. And then that could go north, one could go south. It's just impossible to get to our home. So I'd like you to take that into consideration. Again, it's just me here tonight. My son works in Manhattan and couldn't be here, so he sent Mom. And, but I can get a petition because I know that my neighbors, not the 4 that signed yes, one of the 4 that signed yes, thought she was signing something else. And she certainly said she would change it. But I could get a petition. I could get a petition for 1920th because that's who it's going to impact. It's going to impact Surf A. Snyder. It's going to impact 1920, the short little 19 going to that left on B. So I really would appreciate your consideration in this matter. And I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom.
Tom Volker, 527 8th Avenue.
You talk about the skate park? Oh, no.
You want to see me disowned by my own grandson? Guess what? I'm for the program. But I do agree with you that the elephant in the room is supervision. And I'm glad that Ed's really got on that real fast, so I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, thank you.
I'm wondering on the Shade Tree Commission if we have a program in town where if you take down a tree, you need to put up a tree somewhere in town. Do we have that?
I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Councilman McCracken.
I'm not aware of that.
Well, if you did, it could help. I know whether it be the town or the builder or the homeowner, if they're taking down a tree, even if there was a designated somewhere else in town where you could plant the tree, maybe consider that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The other question I have is how did we do with the meeting on state on the issue of we didn't cross a T or a dot an I and we're losing funding?
Oh, on the
Yeah, can you comment on that?
I'll let our attorney comment on that right now.
We have we have a meeting scheduled, which we had it scheduled, I think, for last week, and I had to get put off by somebody at the commissioner's side of it. But we have a meeting scheduled now on May 1st with the commissioner, the DEP, Senator Singer, and a lot of the DEP types, as well as the Assistant Attorney General that we met with last time we talked about this. And we're going to meet with them. The mayor will be there, our engineer will be there, and we are moderately optimistic that we can get some good news. But the commissioner wouldn't call us to his office, I don't think, just to say no. So we're hoping that things might work.
Okay, thank you.
We need a little prayer.
We should have some response by our first meeting in May. We should know something.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Yes, Maureen.
Noreen Dean, 16th Avenue in Belmar.
Hi, Noreen.
Good evening, everybody, ladies, gentlemen. I want to thank
whoever did the striping for the courtesy lines on 16th Avenue. Excellent. Was it you? It was great. They're perfect. They're further enough that you can make a swing out of your driveway and a swing into your driveway. So thank you very much. Secondly, my husband will have passed away 3 years at the end of April. I have a tree that I would like to plant, but I wanted to know, are we going to be able to use any of the land over by Lake Como, you know, our 2 blocks in, I guess it is? I noticed that there's no trees on the Belmar side, so I'd like to know who I can talk to. Tom?
I'm sorry, we have a very, very, very small piece of that property over there. Most of it is Spring Lake, right by the ocean. Most of it is there. We found that out when we were looking at the landscaping after the outfall pipe project was being completed. Really, I mean, there wasn't even room to put a bench or a gazebo or anything like that.
I'm not looking for a bench.
I know.
Mike has a little comment on that.
I have 2 things we've talked with Mr. McCracken about and our shade tree. 2 things are coming up, one being Arbor Day, and we purchase trees anyway. So again, maybe that would be an option for you to have the children of the school plant that. I think it's a good thing for family and all.
I have a little...
Yes, ma'am. So I think that may be able to work for you, and we can plant it then. The second thing would be, if you have a tree that you wish, perhaps we could do that at the lake. There was a program in the past with shade tree where they were asked, if you take a tree down, you don't want to put it back in your house, we put it at the lake. So again, we can do the same thing here until the mayor and council get a chance to look at that, if they're going to adopt that in a permanent resolution or anything. But again, ma'am, I can certainly try and help you get that planted if you wish, through Mr. McCracken, who's in charge of our Shade Tree Commission.
Okay. And I'll be in touch with both of you then.
Sure.
Okay? Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Marie. Anyone else? George?
Hello, George Comatas, 111 3rd Avenue. I was hoping for Mr. Hines would show up, Franny Hines. Our autism benefit is the first Friday of May, May 3rd. It's $10 a ticket. At DJ's, the food is great, and they're really supporting the best benefit. I think that the first aid doesn't, I shouldn't just say the whole town, but it's just a great benefit. Also on athletes, the Mayberry family is incredible. You're Sterling, I think this is his 5th year, number 85 for the Jets. I don't know if he ever got anything, but a great family, Mr. Sterling, Niall, Nicole. And the skate park, thank you. Mr. Campbell's done everything. We sealed it, we're picking up cement. I talked to the band, he's a great person. I love Bob at the skate park, and, you know, and I love the children. I've taken at least 10 or 15 to the hospital. I hate when they, I ask them to wear helmets and they curse at me, but it's all good. But I love children, and I love skaters. I mean, like when Tony Hawk was skating in the White House, I mean, how can you beat something like that? But thank you. Appreciate
All right, thanks, George. Bob?
Bob Lynch, 316 9th Avenue. Tom asked about the trees, and it's a pet project of mine too. And April was kind enough to give me a copy of a resolution. The resolution states, if we're talking between the sidewalk and the curb, those trees, if you take them down, you're supposed to get a permit to take them down. If you take them down, you're supposed to replant a tree in place of those. And I know, I brought it up because I knew of 6 trees right in my immediate neighborhood that had been taken down between the sidewalk and the curb. And so wonder if we should publicize that to the whole town, make sure everybody knows. And then if there have been trees taken down, and we had a lot of dead trees from salt water intrusion, and we still have dead trees. I see some over by 8th Avenue and maybe C Street, and between B and C Street on 8th Avenue. So, I mean, there is a resolution that says if you take a tree down, you're supposed to replant one.
I don't know if we were responsible for taking those down, were we, Mike? Because of Sandy, they were.
It's the responsibility of the homeowner.
The homeowner's responsibility starts from the curb to the sidewalk. Anything planted there has to be done by the homeowner. The exception is if there's a storm or something and something falls into the street and the police deem it an emergency, we will come out, cut it, and then leave the rest of the tree there for the homeowners to take care of. That being said, that's what the Shade Tree Commission really does, is deal with that. They want to get in, you know, the backyards and make sure there's enough trees for oxygen and taking care of everything, but really that's what the Shade Tree Commission does. If there's a problem with sidewalks or anything else, or just dead trees, that's what the Shade Tree does. They'll let them go out. One of the guys in my department works with Mr. Kraken, and they go out and they see dead trees, and then I work with that, with Shade Tree and also with code enforcement, Frank, and they go out and they notify the homeowners it's a dead tree, it's going to become a hazard, and we move forward that way. I would love to see another tree going to be planted. Again, we can do it at the lake, it was done in the past. So again, hopefully moving forward, we do make that more widely spread and more well known, and we can do that. But again, people do think they're waiting for the town to come out and take down that dead tree, but it is the homeowner's responsibility from the curb to the sidewalk, and then obviously on your property is your responsibility.
Yeah, I think so they're supposed to replant that.
Yeah, I think the distinction is like in your own yard, if you decide to take a tree down, I don't think you have any control of that, but I do think, I mean, I miss the streetscape, you know, of trees and shaded sidewalks and shaded streets, and there's a number of them have happened since, you know, Sandy, and they continue to happen. In some cases, it's when there's a new home construction, they tend to clear everything, and you're waiting for that tree to come back, and you don't see it come back.
So you're saying there's a resolution that says if you take a tree down,
There's a
you need a
resolution.
permit?
Yeah, there's a permit, it says $10 for the permit.
That's within,
right.
That's if the trees in the right of way. That's on borough property.
On borough
Right,
property.
curb and sidewalk.
Yes.
Between the curb and the sidewalk.
Yeah, normally speaking, the town's right of way goes to the sidewalk.
Yes.
Correct.
So that's a tree on our property.
Correct.
It's the homeowner's responsibility.
Homeowner's responsibility, but if he takes it down, he's taking that tree
Has
on.
to pay to
or-
take it down.
So I think that's a lot.
Well, but it's also important what kind of tree you put back.
Yeah, and then the Shade Tree Commission has a list of, I think, 6 trees or more that they recommend if it's closer to the ocean, if it's closer to town. So they have a list of a number of trees that they recommend.
The biggest part of the whole program is, what Mr. Capelli just said, is putting back the proper trees so that, number one, it's indigenous, number two, it doesn't grow into the wires that are there, create issues for your neighbor, or have large root system where it is uplifting not only your sidewalk, the street, the water, and things like that. So Mr. Capelli is 100% correct.
Yeah, I think one of those things was to limit the size of the trees, so we could get trees that are only going to go up 25 feet or whatever. All right, well, maybe we can look at some of the empty spots in town.
And Bob, we also, too, we've streamlined the process because there was a delay, the Shade Tree only meeting once a month. For permit to come in, people want to get the work done.
Yeah.
There's only a meeting every 30 days or so, and as you know, we've had some quorum challenges. So now, we have a trained arborist. I don't know if that's his official title, but he's gone through a lot of training. He's an employee with the Department of Public Works. So those applications are coming in, going right to the Sal, who's on our commission, the Department of Public Works. He's going right out, evaluating the tree for safety, et cetera, meeting with the homeowner and working with them and advising of their options. So it's nice, it's more immediate, it's one-on-one counseling and consultation and brainstorming and that kind of thing. So we want to keep this moving along because some people have been frustrated,
Yeah, it needs to be re-energized.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just have a follow-up question to the tree thing.
I'm
a little confused. So what I'm understanding is that the town plants a tree between the curb and the sidewalk line, and theoretically, it's an easement to the town. But if the tree dies, it's the homeowner's responsibility to take the tree down and to replant the tree?
Yes.
You're right.
Because, well, Jerry.
Yeah.
I have to look at it again.
Now,
That's
only because I had an issue with trees, and it cost me $11,000 to put sidewalks in. But because the trees that I didn't plant, they were a 120-year-old sycamore tree. And I did quite extensive research on this, and the thing is that, the town had suggested the sycamore tree because it lives a longer lifespan. So consequently, you know, it's easier for the town to plant a tree. Oaks, maples, sycamores, they have a longer life than most trees. So rather than have to replace a tree every 20 to 25 years, you plant one of these 3 species and it lives forever. The downside of it is it rips up your sidewalks. But it's incomprehensible if you have an easement, or like the attorney said, I don't think you own the property, you have an easement to the property.
Town owns the property.
No, it's an easement.
Okay, you know better than I.
Well, all right.
The town owns the property. It may only be paved to the curb line, but normally your driveway crosses onto borough property to get to the roadway. Look at your survey. If you have a survey of your home, you'll see that.
I do. Okay. So you're saying that the town, why aren't they cutting my grass then?
Because it's the responsibility of the homeowner.
You know, I mean, anyway, I have 2 more really quick things, and I really don't mean to be a pain. I love you guys. I love the town. The update on 10th Avenue and Taylor Pavilion in terms of the work that needs to be done.
All right.
How's that working out?
Ed, you want to take care of it? You've been working on it.
We have been working on the 10th Avenue Pavilion. We've met with our architect and Mazer. We've done water testing on the pavilions because of the way the doors swing. They had an expert come down, the architect had an expert come down and replace the sills and the seals on the door facing to the north. And we did, that was on a Saturday. We did the water test on a Tuesday, and it failed miserably. So it still leaked. I've talked to Mazer. We're waiting for a letter with Epic. Hopefully within the next couple of days, I'll be contacted by them where we're going to have those doors turned around so we can occupy that building and get a CO. So we're working diligently every single day to make sure that we do our due diligence to get into that building before the season starts at no additional expense to the borough, to make sure that they cover the cost of what needs to be done based on what happened through either architectural or construction.
Or are you relatively confident that, or confident I should say, that you know, the 10th Avenue building is going to occupy the lifeguards and the police?
I can tell you, we are working on it every single day. As a matter of fact, Saturdays and Sundays, we're involved with the construction people. DPW has been down there. We're water testing. To prove a point, we actually used watercolor in a 5-gallon bucket and a 16-ounce cup to show that they didn't fix anything. So at the end of the day, we are on this every single day, and I'm confident that in dealing with all the entities involved, that we're going to occupy that building.
You guys inherited a ton of problems.
You're not kidding.
But the idea is that you're solving them one at a time.
One at a time. The way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. That's what we're doing.
I think that, you know, me and my neighbors, and we have a pretty tight neighborhood, we almost wanted to throw a block party when the lights went on Main Street. You know, it was really a nice job that you got that done. And DPW, you guys, after the storm that we had the other night, your trucks were all over the place picking up debris. That was a good job. Just a comment, having been somebody who's in the restaurant business and, you know, event business, the boat show. Everybody here says that, you know, it was a great time, it was a great time. The turnout was real low.
Oh, yeah.
The effort, I shouldn't say that, the concept was great.
Yeah.
But I think from an advertising perspective, and I think from it being too inclusive to just the boating industry, wouldn't lure. I mean, my girlfriend could care less about a boat, but if she knew there were going to be vendors there and, you know, some other things that would encourage her to come while I'm looking at a boat, you know, that may have brought more people to it. You know, you guys don't have a problem when you put on an event in town, like, you know, and you've heard me speak about, even though I disagree to some extent with respect to Oktoberfest with no sausages, but but the idea is that, you know, anything, you know, just to liven up, because there is some talk in town, you know, from, you know, some people that I've spoken to about it, that the reason why the food wasn't allowed there is because it kind of had Marina Grill associated with it. That the reason why it didn't become an event, because what it was a show, instead of it being an event.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and people are talking in town, oh, the reason why it wasn't an event, is because, oh, Marina Grill is, behind the whole thing. So I'm just letting you know what the scuttlebutt is, that's all. But I think if they made it into a boat show event, and then after that, properly advertised it, it could do some good for the town. With that said.
Well, I just want to say that was put together in about 6 weeks. I wasn't really too much in favor of doing it this year, but the BBP thought it'd be a good idea to try a small boat show, and our goal was to try to fill up some slips, which it worked to a certain degree. We're having a post meeting on Monday morning to go through all the issues of it and figure out for next year what we'll have enough time to get the advertising, because to put something together like that in 6 weeks, it's not, you're going to have a low turnout, there's no doubt. The problem we have with Marina Grill, and I'll tell you right up front, Marina Grill does not have anything to do with the boat show, but what they have in their lease is there is no other food concessions allowed in the marina.
I mean, I heard of people, knowing people in
So
town.
just to set the record straight, and I'm being out there with it, that's what the lease is.
I appreciate the transparency, because I know a couple people in town that are restaurant owners that thought they were allowed to go there, and then were ultimately turned away.
And our administrator had to deal with each and every one of them.
And I think what happens is, I think that type of boat show, or that type of event should support the businesses in town.
Right.
Whether it be the cookie shop or Brandel or Mojitos or whatever it is, but I think that, that it shows people who come in to look at a boat that, wow, look, Belmar has got a cuisine here.
Exactly. So we're gonna work on it for next year. It was put together real quick. It was a little small boat show, and we're gonna look at all the logistics of it for next year. Maybe you can add some in water stuff, maybe some jet skis in water, and it's things that we're gonna work on to straighten out all these little issues that we had this year. Since yourself, 6 weeks is 6 weeks, and it's tough to put something together that quick.
I do have one last question, and this is not from me.
I thought that was the last one.
One more. This isn't my question. This is a question that was asked of a friend that I'm presenting to you, and that is that I don't own a kayak, I don't own a sailboat, but I think some of the people in town are a little alarmed about the L Street situation and the fact that, it's time to pay up for your kayak, and not knowing whether the beach is going to be open or not, whether, what there's any, procedure, or if there's any protocol, maybe I should use that word, in terms of how that's going to work going forward.
You're going to still be able to launch your kayak or your canoe or anything else like that. What they don't want...
No, the people who are renting spaces there, like for...
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to still be able... What the worry is that people that are diving underneath the water. That's the concern about the beach, pursuant to 2 years of testing where we only closed it 4 times for 37 active tests. We're err on the side of caution based on what we're doing right now. I'm hoping to have answers within the next, by the first week of May. You can still launch your kayaks. We're going to still have a boating season. We're going to still do what we have to do. The only thing is we're trying to err on the side of caution based on what we're learning on a daily basis in regards to the water inside the shark river itself and the testing procedure with the county. The county and the DEP are the ones that are calling us, wanting us to close down the waterways. We're coming back with the proof based on 37 active tests that the beach was only closed 4 times in the 2-year period. So they can tell us all they want what they want us to do, and we're going to comply to what the state regulations are, but we're also going to have issues if in fact it's not a fair analysis of what's going on there. So you can still launch your kayaks. We're still moving forward with our season. That makes sense, but we're going to have answers for the first week of May.
And I guess the question I was asking is, if you have kids and you're leery about what the situation is, and you want to see the situation cleaned up, before you make a commitment to, you know, there's,
No question. Listen, we want people to know what's going on. That's why we're giving out the facts in regards to what the media points out. And like the mayor said before, when the media, whether it be the printed media or television or radio, they say Belmar beaches are closed. We're talking about the Shark River Beach right now that we're trying to make sure we clean it up. And we're taking every step with DPW or our engineers. So we're going to have more answers hopefully the first week of May, once we get those pumps maintained on the 26th of April. So, like I said, that's another project every single day we work on. This problem's been here for years. And they're pushing us now, but the water's never been cleaner. Like I said, the test results speak for themselves. I had the county give this to me today, and that's where we put everything together. And the test results speak for themselves. And the only infiltration is when I have a heavy downfall, and it's just not based on sewage or anything like that. It's based on everything that washes into the waterway.
I got you. I appreciate your time.
That's it, okay. Thanks.
Great job.
Anyone else? Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everyone.